Hello, and welcome back to Wool and Wax. My name is Nikki. I am the wool lover here behind Wool and Wags, and little Miss Wags currently just got finished eating some breakfast, and hopefully is going to settle down. We'll see. She may make another surprise appearance. Welcome to 2026. It is the first podcast of 2026, and it has been a long time since I sat down and caught up with you guys podcast style. I have posted some videos here and there. The last two that I posted were very exciting. It was my everything I made in 2025 video, which was so fun. And the last one I posted was my 2026 Make 9, which does reflect a little bit in my whips today. So let's just go ahead and get started. I am not currently wearing a knit because I think it's like 68 degrees today in Southern California. It's a beautiful day, but it's not a knit day. So we're just going to move right into our finished objects. We have two finished objects today. The first one is the most exciting one of all time. It is my Roomy Raglan by Jules Efterfield. It is a free one size fits everybody pattern on Ravelry that was released not too long ago. It was definitely released towards the tail end of 2025. It is a bulky weight pattern knit on 14 stitches in 22 rows on 6.5 millimeter needles. I knit it in one of the suggested yarns, which was the Cascade Eco Wool. It was the undyed, but it was colored chocolate. And I held that together with Knitting for Olive Merino in the color Hazel. This knit was so fun. It was just a huge dopamine hit. It worked up really fast. The weight of the garment ended up being so just heavy and luxurious feeling. I love the finishings. I love the oversized but really short proportions. It's just everything that I wanted in a knit. It's just a great knit, and I'm so happy to have it in my knit wardrobe. I did do a few modifications. The first one was that I knit all of my ribbing inside out. I started doing this more recently on my knits just to kind of get a neater looking rib. I'm unsure if I'm going to stick with it going forward for every knit, but I definitely do think it looked really good on my Roomy. So I did that on the collar, the cuffs of the sleeve, and the body. I just did a short row turn and knit them inside out. I casted on 14 stitches in the underarm versus 12, which was recommended. And I did this because my bust size is a little bit bigger than Jules's, and I really wanted to make sure that the proportions and the ease was the same on me that it was her, because I love the fit on her. So I did go ahead and add in just a few other stitches. And the last one, which I did by accident just because I was flying through and not paying much attention to the pattern, was that I omitted the German short rows after you split from the body and the sleeves. I do wish that I wouldn't have, because it definitely does rise a little in the back. Like the hem in the back could have been dropped with those German short rows. So I do wish that I had those in there, but it's definitely not enough for me to like take everything out and add those back in. But if I were to knit this pattern again, which I could definitely see myself doing, I would definitely make sure I did those that time. But yeah, the Roomy is a great knit. If you are at all like on the fence, or if it's on your queue, I highly recommend knitting it or moving it up. It's such a good knit. I don't even know how to explain it, but it has fully put me into a knitting slump. It was just the perfect recipe of large needles, really nice yarn, a nice weight, perfect drape, really just a quick knit that was just instant. Just the whole time you were knitting it, you know you're knitting something good. Like you are knitting something good. I don't know how to explain it that much, but it has put me in a knitting slump, and that is reflected in the rest of my knitting. You'll see as we go on. That is a Roomy. I think that I went over everything. If you guys have any questions about the Roomy, I will link my Ravelry where I put a little bit more detailed notes and some other photos. If you have any questions, you can definitely leave them in the comments. The next finished object that we have is my Sophie scarf. It is right here. It's this lovely little croissant that every knitter recognizes. I knit this with my leftover yarn from my cloud tee. This is the Plies and Hellhounds yarn in their Selkie base. So it is 85% non-superwash merino and 15% silk. It's a fingering weight, and I bought this at Flock. I had a little over 50 grams left over from my cloud tee, and I definitely wanted to use all of the yarn up because the color, I forgot to mention the color, but it is color Yugen, and that color is just beautiful. I love the color. I love wearing my cloud tee and wanted to get another wearable out of my leftovers. I did make a Sophie scarf. Mine, I made quite a few modifications to. It is 137 centimeters long. I think I wrote down that the large size is 102 centimeters long, so mine is longer. I held the yarn double, used 4.5 millimeter needles, and I did increase at a longer rate, I guess you could say. Instead of the increases being, let's just use an arbitrary number to not give away the paid pattern, but let's say the increases were every two, I did every four instead. So I added two rows between every increase, basically. Did that because I wanted to make sure that it was long enough, and I could have done a little bit more math and probably figured everything out and would have been fine knitting it at the recommended rate of increases and decreases, but I'm happy with how it turned out. I like it a little bit longer. I think it comfortably ties and has a cute little bit left over. I really want to get one of like an old vintage chunky ring to use as like a little scarf tie or holder in place specifically for that Sophie scarf. I think it would be really pretty. So that is definitely something that's on my eye. But yeah, it's just a Sophie. There's not really too much to say. I can see myself using my leftover yarns for all of my fingering weight, like tees or tanks. For Sophies, I have a few others that I bought the exact same quantity, so 3 skeins of fingering weight hand dyed yarn, and want to knit something related to the cloud tee in each of those just to kind of build my basic staple wardrobe for that classic cut tee to me. And I can definitely see myself using the leftovers for each of those for different Sophie scarves. So they're great. They're great gifts. And yeah, I'm definitely happy to have it. Next, we can move right along into the whips. So I have two different whips currently, sort of, kind of. The first one is the Harlow Sweater V-Neck by Kadri. I've been working on this for a while now. I actually started this earlier in December, maybe even November, possibly. But I stopped working on it completely when I started and up until the point that I finished my Roomy Raglan, just because it took over all of my knitting mojo. And I picked it back up mainly when I was back in Alabama for the holidays because I only took the Sophie scarf and the Harlow. So after I finished the Sophie scarf, I definitely got some work done on the Harlow. It is knit on sorry, I'm looking at my notes here, but it's knit on 4.5 millimeter needles. It's a 19 stitch by 28 row gauge. It calls for a sport and a lace weight, and that should equal a worsted. And I just decided just to use a worsted mainly because I didn't really want to use any type of fluff. I'm trying to get out of using mohairs and surreys because it definitely makes it a lot more warm and it kind of makes it a little less wearable for me here in Southern California. So I did substitute the yarn and I used Knit Picks Wool of the Andes Worsted in the color Camel Heather. So far, I'm liking it. It's not overly soft. It's not itchy. It's pleasant to work with. I don't really have much of a review on it yet. I'm looking at it. That's why I'm kind of like cutting my eyes over here. I will definitely be interested to see how it wears because it is a semi-affordable yarn. I bought it in cones, so I was able to get even more of a discount that way buying it in bulk like that. I am knitting the size extra large for all of my width proportions basically, and I'm modifying all of the length to a size medium, if that makes sense. So anytime it says to knit to a certain length, I'll follow the medium size so that my overall garment is shorter than what an extra large would be. Just because I'm petite and I feel like I'm pretty proportional, like every part of me, my arms, my torso, like they're all kind of pretty short. So I just wanted to do that, but I wanted to keep it at the extra large so that I could have that really good oversized fit like the pattern calls for. Other than the knitting it at the size medium length, another modification that I'm doing is I shortened the depth of the V-neck. I did that in two different ways. I knit less rows before starting the increases for the V-necks than was called for. And I also, again, knit the increases for the V-neck to the rate of the size medium. So I think I stopped at like, I think 60, 58 increases for the V-neck instead of, I think it might have been like 65. I have no idea. I haven't looked at the pattern in a while, to be honest. But I did that instead of what was called for the extra large. I feel like I probably could have done one or the other. So just knit the increases to the length of the medium without taking out the rows, or vice versa. But I'm not too worried about it. I think that it will still look really good. That is one of the main features of this pattern, is that dramatic V-neck with that folded over collar that is just beautifully constructed. But I don't think my modifications are going to take away from that. And I really just did that because I didn't want it to look proportionally wrong, and I didn't want to like have to pull it off the shoulder to raise that V-neck. I will always wear it with a white t-shirt underneath, but I still just wanted to make sure that that depth wasn't too much, that it looked a little funny on me. It's coming along. I'm currently just working on the body, so round and round, and I usually would be stopping right now and probably doing both of the sleeves and the collar and everything, but because I'm working from a cone, I don't really want to cut the yarn to go do that. So I think I'm actually going to knit the entire body, then maybe the collar, then the sleeves, which it typically just isn't the order that I do it in. So it is kind of funny. And I am kind of sad because I do want to see the collar on it, because I always feel like that makes it look more like a sweater than that raw edge right now. But it's fine. I'll see it when it's time to see it. And that'll just give me more motivation to finish up this body. So yeah, that is the Harlow V-neck. The next whip. So first, there's a little bit of backstory that we'll get to before we even get into the actual whip. I filmed my Make 9 video and was really just inspired and wanted to cast something on from my Make 9. So I actually went into my yarn pantry and pulled out some yarn that I had bought from the Knit Picks, like the large sale that they had last year. I can never remember what it's called. I think it was like the 234 sale or the 345, basically where a lot of their yarns were just a few dollars. And I bought a vest quantity and two sweater quantities from them when they had that sale. The vest quantity that I bought is in the color Gosling, and I can't remember exactly how many balls that I bought, but I kind of averaged out what I thought a vest quantity for me would be. And I do have a vest, or just like a sleeveless top basically, on my Make 9. It is the Manhattan top, and I've wanted it for a while. And I showed my Make 9 to a few of my friends, even my non-knitting friends, and they all were in agreement that that was kind of their favorite thing on it. So I wanted to get started on it. So I went and pulled out the yarn, and it's Knit Picks palette in the color Gosling. So it's a fingering weight, and you have to hold it double to get the Manhattan top because it's a DK weight pattern. And I swatched for it, and it's in this broken rib texture, and I absolutely love it. I really liked working with the yarn and the swatch, and I liked the fabric that it produced. I liked the color. In the ball, I was kind of like, ugh, like I feel like it may wash me out a little bit, but I actually really liked it. Was ready to get started on it, and then I just had a gut feeling, and I was like, let me go and check how much I have. And I compared that to the requirements for the Manhattan top, and I do not have enough. I think that just this textured stitch just eats up a lot of yarn. So there's actually a lot more yardage requirement in the Manhattan top than other sleeveless tops or sleeveless vest slipovers, whatever you want to call them. I had a few different options. My first was to order more of the yarn. So I went on the website to look, and of course it is sold out in this colorway. I did put to notify me, so hopefully it will come back soon. And then I had the idea of just using one of the sweaters quantities that I bought to knit the Manhattan top instead. And I kind of went back and forth and was like, am I just making a rash decision because I really want to knit this right now? And the answer is probably yes. And then I also had the conundrum of that was a sweater's quantity, and I would have kind of an odd number of balls and an amount of yardage left over after knitting the Manhattan top with a full sweaters quantity, that I didn't want to end up with that weird number of yarn left, amount of yarn left. So I decided to wait, and hopefully this color will come back in stock soon. If it doesn't, I don't know, guys. I may look on Ravelry to see if anybody else is selling just a few balls here or there of this color, or I may just knit it in a different color because I really do want the Manhattan top, especially as we enter into spring. Even now, like in Southern California, it's a top that I feel like could be wearable, especially in 100% wool, could be wearable at all times of the year here. So, yeah, I was a little bummed about this, and I feel like this kind of just goes back to my knitting slump that I'm in, which I do 100% blame on the Roomy Raglan. That I feel like I haven't had a win since then. My Harlow, it's fine, but I think the color throws me off a little bit. Maybe just because I just knit the Roomy, which was this beautiful brown, and this one's kind of a little bit of a maybe just a brown that I wouldn't 100% pick for myself. And yeah, so color there. And then I had this, which I was excited and then had to put the like brakes on for that. And then we're going to talk about my second whip. And the second whip has been a journey and again has just added to the knitting slump to where I just don't feel like anything is going right for me. And I'm hoping that all this negative, weird energy will be banished because I'm ready to just like get my mojo back. But my second whip is the Clara Sweater, is what we're going to call it here on the channel. I think the full name is like the Clara Cable Ribbed Sweater, but we're not calling it that. It's the Clara Sweater. It is, oh, I did not write down who it was by. I have no idea, but I will put it on the screen. It is a sweater that is 20 stitches and 30 rows of the gauge. It's supposed to be a fingering and a lace held together. And of course, like I said before, I'm trying to get out of the lace situation. So I did knitting for all of cotton merino held double. And I should have known because I have knit one other garment in knitting for olive cotton merino held double, and that was my vest type A. And I did have to size down my needle size with that because I wasn't loving the fabric that it created. And I swatched for the Clara sweater a long time ago, and it's meant to be knit on 4 millimeter needles, and I met gauge. And the swatch doesn't really look bad, but when I started making the larger piece, because I did cast it on with the recommended needle size and everything, I was just like, I just don't know that I'm loving the fabric that this is creating. And especially doing the cables, I didn't love, they just looked a little sloppy at that looser gauge. So I made the decision just last night actually to rip it all out and size down my needle. And I looked back at the sizes and I don't know what got into me, but I sized down because a long story, but the first time with my 4 millimeter needles, I had accidentally been knitting a size 6, and that was too big on that gauge, on the 20 stitch gauge. And then so I'd sized down my needle, and what I should have done was stick with the size 6 and size up because my gauge was going to be tighter. But I guess I just like went down this rabbit hole. Why was I knitting the wrong size? I need to be knitting this size. So I would change my needles to 3.5 millimeter needles and size down, which everybody is like boo because that's obviously wrong. So I should have stuck with the size that was too large, the size 6, and knit it on a tighter gauge. But I didn't. And I'm very sad, but it's fine. That's why we can rip things out. I'm just, again, just like beating myself up just because I've had like fail after fail after fail. But it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. I don't know why this energy has followed me into 2026, but it's gonna go away. I promise. So I'm gonna rip all that out again. The good thing is I do love the fabric that it's creating on the 3.5 millimeter needles. So I do think it will be good. I measured my gauge. I'm at a 22 stitch gauge, which I did have ChatGPT help me. And I think that on the size that I was knitting at the size 5 with the 3.5 millimeter needles, 22 stitch gauge, that would have gave me 118 centimeters of finished object, and my bust is around 110, so that just wasn't going to be enough ease for me to be comfortable in this, especially in the summertime. So I'm going to go back up to the 6 and I'm going to do it right. and I'm going to be better for it. But yeah, that is a sort of whip. It's about to be ripped out and restarted, but hopefully I will get somewhere on it because yeah, I'm needing some wins, guys, and let's just hope. Let's hope. Those are the whips, and the last up, we have some acquisitions. The acquisitions are a little random. The first one, I didn't even know if I wanted to talk about it. I just bought some embroidery floss and I bought this to actually just hand embroider, hand stitch. I'm not sure exactly what the terminology is. Some flowers on a pair of scrubs that I have. It has a breast pocket or a chest pocket, and I had a lip gloss in there. And it must have leaked a little bit. So I have this kind of greasy, oily stain from that lip gloss that will not come out for the life of me. I plan on doing just some I've looked it up, some lazy daisies, I think is what they're called, just on that pocket to cover up that stain. And they're pink scrubs. So I bought a few different pinks. Hope you guys can see those. And then I went ahead and bought just some accessories. I bought the needles and I bought this, which probably was a little bit of overkill, but you just wrap your thread around it and it stays on the ring. I thought it was definitely something I may get into, just putting little flowers on some of my garments, just to, well, my bought garments. I thought it would look cute on the pocket of some jeans, or maybe even to cover up some stains and some other things, because unfortunately I do stain my things a lot. So yeah, that was one acquisition. I just got those today, and I'm hoping to probably work on that today so I can get those scrubs back in my rotation. Because scrubs are expensive, if you guys didn't know. It's quite annoying. That was the first acquisition. The second is this cute Notions pouch. This is a felted Notions pouch that I bought from, I don't think it's a thrift market, but it's a big place where they have a bunch of different booths. It's called Sea Hive. It's here in San Diego. There's a few different locations. It is by, her name is Felt Crafts by Jen, and I'm assuming she's local, and it's just amazing. My best friend, she bought some things from her booth as well. I could just buy a million things from her. I love it. I love squishing it. I love the sloth. It's so cute. It's a really well constructed zipper. I think that with the felt scene becoming a lot bigger with the sailor slippers, and I've even seen some felted bags that are being released as patterns now. And I know there were some before, but it just seems like it's more mainstream now. I've just had such a appreciation for felted crafts, and when I saw this I knew immediately that I had to have it. I'm really excited to add this to the rotation. I have so many pouches everywhere, but I also have so many little knickknacks and little tools everywhere. I could definitely use more pouches. At least that's what I'm telling myself. So yeah, that is everything. I know it was a little weird. I have a little bit of weird juju going on around me with knitting right now, but hopefully we're going over the hill. We're going to restart the Clara Sweater. It's going to be fine. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm really excited to see where 2026 takes us, both here on the channel and with my knitting. And yeah, so like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. You gonna come over and say hi? You wanna come say hi? Come on. Come. Hello. Hi. Did you enjoy your breakfast? Yeah, was it yummy? Sorry. Oh, burpees. Was it yummy breakfast? Hmm? Oh, honey. You want to need some attention. Hold on.